guys, welcome to some different tech and programming. So in today's session, we are going to check how we can connect Oracle database with the SpringBoot microservice that can perform the CRUD operations along with the REST API calls and Spring Data JPA Hibernate. So we will perform CRUD operations with the employee data, which we will execute via Postman, and we will see how the data interacts with the database and microservice. So in the agenda today, so we will see how we can set up Oracle along with the SQL developer. Then we will see how we can set up the Oracle connection in Spring Boot microservice, how we can set up Maven, and then we will create Java classes and we will make the connection with the Oracle. So we will perform CRUD operations, that is insert, update, delete, and select operations, and then how we can visualize the data from SQL developer. So for this, I'm using my blog, so that is a simplifying tech and programming. So blog link is provided in the video description. In this example, we are creating CRUD operations and exposing them through REST API calls so that UI clients can invoke these operations, and it enables the client to modify the employee records in the database. So the purpose of this example to show the data flows from the database to Spring Boot microservice, which makes this interaction possible. So below is the system design. We will use Postman client as a input and database as the output, and in between there is a Spring Boot microservice along with the JPA and Hibernate. So inside that there are 4 entities. We can divide the DO database access layer and controller layer. So request will come to controller first, then entity, so which is a POJO, employee POJO, and then so repository entity will be interacting with the service, and the service along with this DAO layer, so interacting with the database. Okay, so this is a basic flow of the system. So here we will be using the stable version of Oracle, that is Oracle 19c, then Java 18, Eclipse, and Maven. So if you want to know how to install Oracle, then you can visit the following video. So we have already uploaded Oracle series. In that, so we have covered how to download and install Oracle 19c database along with the SQL developer. So you can visit here. So to continue further, so let's dive into hands-on, how we can set up the project and how we can interact with the database. Okay, so in order to create the project, so we will use Spring.io. So go to Spring.io. Here you can see there are multiple configurations defined. So we need to select the Maven project, and we will select Java language, Spring Boot version 3.2.1. So here we will give the project metadata, that is a project name. So Spring Boot CRUD Operation, and package name will be com.stack. Okay, packaging as the jar, Java version is a 17. Then we need to add some dependencies. So first is a Spring Web. Okay, then we need a Oracle driver. Then we need a Spring JPA, Spring Data JPA. Okay, that's it. So let's say generate. Okay, so our project is downloaded. So let's copy into Eclipse. So this is the downloaded project. So copy to workspace and then extract it here. Okay, so we have extracted this project. So now import from Eclipse. So here we can say go to file and let's say import, then existing Maven project. So next, give the path. Let's say finish. So let's verify if all dependencies are added correctly. Yeah, so you can see the Oracle dependency is added as OJDBC 11 and it is a runtime, and other than that, this is a Spring Boot started web along with the JPA. So this is fine. So moving further, so we will do a Spring Boot connection with the Oracle database. So in order to connect the database, you must configure the data source via ORM tool, that is the object relationship mapping tool, that is a Hibernate. So we are using the Oracle database, so respective properties are used. So couple of more properties to show JPA and Oracle dialect. So I will tell you how it works. So go to application.properties and paste it here. So we need 3 things in order to connect with the database. First, basically, so we need a URL. So this is by default we are using thin client of JDBC, and this is a default instance of Oracle, that is a SID. Then we need the default user, that is a sysdba, and this is the password. Then we need this driver class name along with this port number to run the Spring Boot application. So we need this Spring JPA Hibernate DDL auto equal to update. So in order to create and drop the tables, so we are setting the value as an update because we are performing the CRUD operation. So that's it. So let's save it. And now we will create the entity and repository for the Hibernate configuration. So these are steps to work with the data in the database. So that is a model. So if you consider the MVC architecture, so then we need to create the model. So it's a structure that is known as a JPA entity classes, and create the repository interfaces between them. Okay. So let's create this entity class, that is an employee. Go to this and create new Java class. Give package name as a entity employee. Let's say finish. Okay, so copy this. So now we need to import the packages. So we can do Control Shift O in order to import the packages. So now you can see like we are using the Spring Boot version 3. So you can see like Spring Boot 3 is supporting Java Enterprise Edition 10. So here it is migrated to Jakarta package. So from JAVAX, like earlier version of Spring Boot is supporting JAVAX package. So here we are using Jakarta package. So you have to define this Jakarta persistence table. This one. Okay, that's it. So what we are doing here, so we are just like creating the ORM mapping here. So we need to define the table name. So we are creating table name as an employee. Then we need to define this annotation, that is @entity, so which will specify the class as an entity. And we are defining like some field names, that is column names in the table. So this is the like first name, last name, and email along with the EMP ID as a primary key, and at the generated value. So it will generate the automatic values as a primary key. Okay, so we need to implement this getters and setters. So go here and go to sources, and let's say generate getters and setters. So you need to select all, and let's say generate. Let's generate the toString also. So source. Okay. So now let's create the supporting interface. So that is our employee repository. So just copy this repository. So create new interface. Give package as a com stack dot repository. Interface name employee repository, and let's say Control Shift O in order to import the packages. So what this repository is doing, so it is an interface and it is extending this JPA repository along with mapping our Java objects to the database objects for the employee class. So for fetching the data, so we are defining one method, so that is a find by first name. So if you provide the name of the employee, that is the first name of the employee, then it will fetch the data from this ORM mapping. Okay, so this is about repository. So repository will interact with the service layer. So we can implement the service layer into controller itself, but generally we will create the new class in order to implement the service. So let's create the service class also. Give the package name as a service. Let's finish. Okay, so copy this code. Let's say Control Shift O in order to import the packages. So this list will be Java util list. and rest is the same. Okay, so before explaining the service class, so let's create the controller first. So go here and let's create this class, controller class. Okay, so this is the REST controller class. So import the packages, the control shift O in order to import the packages. So we need this list as a Java util list. That's it. Okay, so we are annotating this controller to know Spring Boot as a act as a controller. So we are defining this annotation, that is a REST controller, and then we are implementing the CRUD operations REST API calls. So this controller is like directly auto wired to employee service. That is this controller will be interacting with the service class. So we are auto wiring this employee service. So what are these REST calls? So earlier we defined, right? So we need this REST API calls or Spring Data JPA REST calls in order to interact with the database rather than like a simple insert commands like JPA calls. So we need to suppose like we need to create the employees. So we are defining this as a add employee. Okay, so we are doing the post mapping. So by using post mapping, so we are posting data to a database by using this service or this REST API call. Okay, so if I show you, so this is the postman. So from where like we are executing our REST calls. So you can see there are different calls. So this is the get, post, put. So get means fetch data, post means we need to add some data into database, put means update data, and delete means delete data from database. So these we are implementing via controller class. So this is the post mapping. So this is for inserting data into database. We are defining another post mapping, so that is add employees. So suppose like we want to insert the bulk data, then we are using this add employees. So we are sending the list of data. So let's focus on this first API only. So we are like creating. So this is the REST call, and we are reading request body from the postman. So for this, so we have defined this employee structure. So this is the structure of a request from this controller. So we are invoking the service method. So in the service, there is implementation of save employee. So go to service method. So you can see this employee save employee. So we are taking the input from the postman, and we are invoking this repository in order to save this data. So as mentioned in this diagram, so like a controller will invoke this service will invoke this repository, and this repository will insert data into database. So whole DAO layer is responsible in order to like connect with the REST call and in order to insert data into database. So that is happening here. So service.save employee, and this is directly saving this data to database in the employee table. Same way, like there is a add employees. Like we instead of giving input as a single employee, inserting data into bulk. So that is a list of employees. So which is calling this save employees like this in employee service. So we are giving input into the list format. This list we are sending to this repository, and this is like inserting data into database. Let's see how like this data flow happens after running this program. So now we will focus to first two APIs only. So that is a create part of this CRUD operations. Okay, so before starting application, so we will check like if our database services are running. So go to start panel and go to services option, that, or you can go to run and type services.msc. So go to service and let's type O in order to check Oracle service. So you can see this is the Oracle service, so that is a running up, and this is up and running. So our Oracle service is started. So this is our SQL developer in order to interact with our Oracle. So these are the connection details where we are connecting to this ORCL, that is a default SID or service name. Okay, and username as a sys role as a sysdb. Okay, so we are connecting here. So if you can see, like we don't have this employee table yet created. So these are system tables in the default service ID. So we are loading the Spring Boot configuration. Once we invoke this, so our ORM mapping or our table is created. So like this, you can see this employee. So this employee will be created once this is started. Okay, so you can see the Hibernate configuration is loading. Okay, so our application is started. So now let's verify if our table is created. Okay, so go to tables and search for employee. So you can see the employee is created. So let's see DST EMPLO. So we are describing the structure of the table. So you can see employee ID, email, first name and last name. Okay. So it is created by Hibernate. By default, it is created once our application is started. So we have defined this employee ID, first name, last name, email. Okay. So employee ID, first name, last name, email. So you might be getting question how it is created in capital. So Oracle is show all the field names in the capital only. So if you can check if there is a data into this table. Oh, so there is a no data. Okay, so this table is just now created. We will execute some REST API calls and let's see if our APIs are able to interact with the database or not. So go to this Postman. So if you don't have Postman, so you can directly download from the a website and you can directly install this as a Chrome extension also. So here in the new collection, we are creating new requests. So here we have to mention as a post request because if you can see this employee controller, so we are mentioning this as a post request. So what we are writing here, so HTTP port 8094 / add employee. So if you can see our configuration, then we define server as a 8094. So that's why I given the port 8094 and the name of the API. So now we need to define the input or what is the employee structure. So we need to define the body. Okay, so body inside body. So we will give this as a raw, and inside raw we have to select the JSON because we are inserting data into JSON format. So now we need data. So how we can get the data? So for this we are using ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT. So in order to give the data, please give me sample JSON data. Okay, so we are telling ChatGPT to provide some data, sample JSON data for the employee structure. So that's it. So it is generating the data for us. It gave me this data. Now, let's take the first record and go to Postman. And so this is the basic sample data. So here the employee ID is 1, first name is John, last name is Doe, and email is this. Okay. So we will invoke the REST API call. That's it. So we got we got the status as a 200. So our employee is inserted into database. Okay, so let's check if our database operation is successful. So go here to SQL developer and execute this select statement again. So you can see this record is inserted. So John Doe. So this record. Okay, so this is success. So now let's insert one more to see if it is working. So take this. Let's send. Okay, so we inserted one more record with that 200 status. So let's verify again. Okay, so we got two records. Okay, so what it is doing? So it is coming to this controller. So post mapping. So here it is coming this JSON, and it is invoking this save employee, and this save employee saving data into database via repository. So now there is a similar post call, but it will insert the bulk records in the list format. So what we can do? So we will give multiple inputs. Okay, so we will select three records here. Okay, so what we are doing here, so we are giving bulk records in order to insert to the database. So we need to change this API name as add employees. Copy this, add employees, and we are giving the data into list format. So let's say send. Okay, so we got the status as a 200. So let's verify. So you can now Michael, Emily, and David. So right now we don't have Michael, Emily, and David. So let's see if it is a success. Okay, so we got the three records as a bulk operation, Michael, Emily, and David. So we are done with the create operations. So now we will do the read operations. That is the fetch operations. So you can see, so for reading the data from database, so we have three APIs. So one is to get the all employees, so it will find the all employees. Then we can able to fetch data as per employee ID, and we can fetch data by sending the first name also. Okay, so let's start with fetching all the data from database. So here is the API. So you can see we are using this GET API. So by using GET API, so we can fetch all data. So get all employees, send the request. Okay, so we got all the data from database. So you can see there are 5 records, and we got the 5 records with the status 200. Okay, so now we will try to fetch only a single record by using employee ID. So copy this, and from this database, get employee ID, and we will fetch 106. Suppose we want to fetch this David Williams, then we will fetch 106. Send the request. So we got 200, okay, success, and we got this employee ID 106, that is a David Williams. So you can see in the database also it is a 106. Okay. So now we will search by using first name, employee first name. So in the console, that there is a nothing is getting printed. So just add one logger statement, that is a sysout, and we will print first name, whatever coming into the request. Okay. So just type here. Okay. So application is started. So let's use this API called as a employee, and from database, like we will fetch something. So we'll fetch this Michael Johnson. So we'll give first name as a Michael. Okay, so this is Michael. Let's send this request. Yeah, so we got this response. So we got this particular record with the first name Michael. Okay, Michael Johnson with status code 200. This way we can able to read the data from database. So now moving further, so we have this update operation. So we have create, read, that is done. Now update and delete is pending. So we will perform update now. So in order to do update, so we have to send this whole record to update. So just we have to change whatever you want to update from this JSON, and we can update that record. So we will update this record, David Williams. So create new request. So here we have to select this put, because we are updating. So we need this put request, and we need this. So in the API name, so we need this update. Okay, so type update update, and we need to send all JSON. So go to the body of request, then raw, and here select the JSON. Okay, paste it here. And suppose instead of David Williams, so we want to change the surname of David to the David Johnson. Okay, so like David Williams will replace by David Johnson. Okay, so this is the update statement. Let's say send. Okay,
So here we got this error as a internal server 500 internal server error. So what is this error? So we need to mention the employee ID as a 106. Okay, so mention this 106 and hit it again. Okay, so it is updated now. So we got status code 200. So like 106 David Johnson. So instead, like here, if you can see David Williams is there. So you can pin this request and we can execute this again. So you can see David Johnson is its last name is changed to Johnson. So moving further, so we are pending with delete operation. This last one is a delete operation. So in order to delete, so we need one more request. So go here and create new request. Here we have to select as a delete method, and then we have to what we have to do. So we have to do delete, and then we have to mention the ID. So we will delete this Jane Smith, that is a 103. Okay, so let's hit this. So it will delete this 103. So now there are total 5 records. It will remain as a 4 records. Okay, so employee removed 103. We got the status code as a 200. So let's see here. Yeah, so 103 record is deleted and we are left with 4 records. So delete is successful. Okay, so I mentioned like here like we have added this is out employee dot first name. So we have printed the first name. So before coming to this error, so it is a printed as a employee first name as a Michael. So at the time of read operations, so we have executed this API with, and this is printed with this data. So this error because like we have entered wrong employee ID. So that we already discussed. Okay, we have completed with the create, read, update, and delete all the 4 operations by using REST calls and Spring Data JPA. So to summarize this, in this session we learned how we can connect with the Oracle database server and how we can integrate Hibernate and Spring Data JPA along with the Eclipse and how we can perform the create, insert, update, and select operations by using Spring Data JPA and REST calls. Okay, so you can download the source code at this GitHub link. So this link is provided in the video description also and in the blog also. And stay tuned for further sessions and do subscribe to this channel and please like, share, and comment on the videos. And thanks a lot for watching.